Good morning. Casey here, and I'm starting a live broadcast. And if you are seeing this at a time other than about 9 a.m., 9:45 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on March 27th, we are not live. You're not seeing it live. Trying to do these once every week, at least on Mondays at 9 a.m., and I am adding a second live event in the evenings. I had pledged to do that, and I'm happy to do it with the support of folks on my Patreon side. I committed to adding live events if I got into a certain subscription level. So thank you so much for all that support. And good morning, Jesse. I am so glad to see when people show up. I want to talk about a couple of topics, and I'm going to say thank you to Renia from California, who suggested these couple of topics. One of them is kind of real basic, talking about vegetables. For those of you who don't know, quick introduction. My name is Casey. I've lost 95.4 pounds on the ketogenic diet since starting in January of 2014. And this is after nearly 30 years of being very, very overweight. I am actually about 113 pounds off my absolute heaviest. So how does one do this? It's very straightforward, and we'll get a little bit more into that. But the question today is about vegetables. The majority of my vegetables, thank you, Cuckoo. The majority of my carbs, rather, I do keep my carbohydrate level below, ideally between below about 15 grams a day, but the goal is below 20 grams total carbs a day. And most of my carbs come from vegetables when I eat them. Some days I eat very few vegetables or none at all. Some days I eat more. But since that is where my carbs are coming from, I do try to be careful. It's easy to overeat vegetables. You know, it's kind of not what we've been told all our lives. You know, eat as many vegetables and fruits as you want. Well, that's just a whole lot of carbs, but in fruit is not allowed. You know, some berries in moderation are allowed, but fruit is just sugar. But vegetables, non-starchy vegetables. So as a rule, those vegetables which grow above the ground, it's kind of a rule of thumb. It's not absolutely steadfast, but vegetables that grow above the ground that are non-starchy, I keep them at about 4 ounces by weight a day. Caveat. A cup of vegetables is not the same as 8 ounces by weight of vegetables, okay? 8 ounces by volume is one thing, 8 ounces by weight is another. So I do measure them, and I happen to measure them usually before I cook them. I don't know that it matters that much. I'm not into the microns of grams. I mean, I'm eating so few anyway that if I measure them before I cook them and they drop a little bit, lose some moisture, I'm not too worried. But that is generally my practice because it's easier to measure uncooked vegetables for me. It's less sloppy. And I do use an OXO food scale. I won't grab it out right now, but I really like it. And I've had excellent customer service from OXO, by the way. I had a little issue with one of mine, and they just sent me a new one. It was great. Hardly any questions asked. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So good. Elaine says, great to be here. Good morning, yes. And the other question that Renia posed, this is a very common one. How quickly did I lose weight? How rapidly did the weight come off? Not at all. Not rapidly at all. The first week I lost 8 pounds. That was the last time that happened. Then I quickly went into 1 pound a week, 2 pounds a week, 1.1 pounds a week. Up a half a pound, down a half a pound, up a pound and a half, down 2 pounds. Very common. Please, oh, hell, excuse me for interrupting. Hi, Bete, Muga. Hello from Germany. Hello. It's very easy to get hung up on the scale, particularly when you're used to it disappointing you. And particularly when you've been told for years or maybe decades that if the scale is disappointing you, it's all on you. It's your fault. you simply are lazy. If you would simply move more and eat less, you would lose weight. We are now really, it's just the lie's been put to this so much that it's not even funny. It's almost impossible to simply move more and lose weight. I mean, you can do it, but it's brutal and it's hard. It's ineffective. And the food we were told to eat is not designed to help us lose weight. It's designed to keep us wanting more and more carbs. It's the way physiologically we're designed. So trying to eat a low-fat diet, keeping 60% of your calories from carbs and then just moving more is ineffective. So we are used to failure. But it wasn't our failure. No matter what they told us, it wasn't our failure. It's like the cigarette manufacturer saying, well, if you want to stop smoking, just stop smoking. If you can't, it's really because you don't have willpower. They didn't tell you because it was all the freaking nicotine they put in there and hid, and knowing it was addictive, okay? It's a very, very similar correlation. Anyway, all of that is by way of saying, don't get hung up on the scale. Excuse me. So I think what happens is people start the ketogenic diet. Maybe they start off great. Yay, I lost 8 pounds the first 2 weeks. And now I'm not hardly losing anything. It's okay. It's very normal. If you're sticking with it, we know, we've talked about this a lot, things can change without the scale changing. Your clothes can start fitting looser. You can just see the difference. You're smaller. There is a physiological reason for that. It is a real thing. It is not magic. It happens. Stick with it. If you're keeping your carb level low enough that you're in ketosis and you're not overeating dietary fat, remember, it's not about adding fat to your diet. It's about lowering carbs. It's not about adding fat. It's about lowering carbs. If you lower your carbs, eat from the allowed food list, which are fatty cuts of meat, chicken, lamb, pork, fatty foods, then the fat will take care of itself pretty much. Don't worry about getting in fat. I keep hearing this. So anyway, so if you're doing it, stick with it, no matter what the scale says. So I wrote down some numbers, okay? Now I weigh every day, so I see fluctuations all the time. When I got about 6 weeks into this, I knew this was going to work, and I started trusting the process. It was different than anything I had done before, and just like you, I had tried it all. And I'd blame myself every time it didn't work. But about 6 weeks in, I said, this is something new. This is not like before. I am losing my appetite. I'm happy. I'm feeling good. My joints don't hurt anymore. So it's not that I stopped paying attention to the scale, because I was happy to lose weight. I didn't want to take insulin for diabetes. I didn't have to do that. I was on the verge, okay? So all the other things that were happening were a miracle to me. My joints didn't hurt. I could move quicker. My sleep was more restorative. All these other things. So at about 6 weeks in, I weigh every day, as I had always done, but I quit worrying if the scale went up or didn't move or barely moved, because I knew it was going to work. Plus, I started measuring things that had nothing to do with the scale as my successes. I didn't hurt anymore. I didn't have that dark cloud of depression that had started to visit me every 6 weeks or so. I've been chronically depressed for years. I mean, with bouts of depression. I wasn't all the time depressed. We've talked about depression before, but if you've had depression, you know what I'm talking about. That I haven't had an episode of that. So you should pardon the expression, the weight loss was gravy. Now I make gravy with cream cheese and butter instead of flour. So the first year on this, from the day I started, January 8th, 2014, to January the 8th, 2015, I lost, and I've written it down here in my notepad, 47.5 pounds in a year. That's not a huge amount. I mean, it's a great amount. I was thrilled. If I'd stopped then, I would have been, hallelujah, victory, declare victory, and withdraw. I would have been happy, happy, happy. The next year, over the entire 12 months, I lost 25.5 pounds. Okay? What is that? It's just about 2 pounds a month. So it's just about a half a pound a week. I didn't care. I was thrilled. The third year, so January 2016 to January 2017, drum roll please, I lost 16.1 pounds. Thrilled again, okay? Slow, slow, slow. What did I care if it was slow? I'd been fat for 30 years, almost 30. And I don't mean kind of fat. I don't mean pudgy. I don't mean, oh, I had a little muffin top. I mean round. Before pictures on my website. Go to CaseyDurango.com. Look at my before pictures tab. Perfectly round. Though none of those photos are actually at my heaviest. Most of those are about 20 pounds below my heaviest. Okay, I was really fat. So what did I care if it came off slowly? Don't get greedy. Get healthy. This will make you healthy. And you're not getting healthy because you've lost the weight. You're getting healthy and you're losing weight. The overweight, in my thinking, is a side effect of the poor nutrition. The obesity is not necessarily the cause of all these downstream effects. It's another side effect. It simply happens to be a visible side effect on those of us who are insulin resistant. There could be people with our exactly same bad blood numbers, high glucose, high blood pressure, high triglycerides, low HDL. They simply don't have obesity. They don't reflect it physically the way those of us less fortunate do, you know. So the weight loss was another side effect of improved health, if that makes sense. Here's another analogy. You know, people do get, I'm sorry, my hair drives me crazy. I never know what my hair is going to do one day to the next. Think of, and some of you may be in this position, chronic pain. What if you've been in chronic physical pain for 5 years? Horrible. And what if just through eating something differently, changing your nutrition, you can reduce that chronic pain by some. Say you can eventually get to where you want to be, but it's going to be slow. Say you can only reduce the pain level by 10% the first year. Do you care? If you've been in chronic pain for 5 years, do you care if you could only reduce it by 10% the first 6 months, and then it takes another 6 months to reduce it another 10%, and then another 6 months to reduce it another 10%? Do you care? No. You don't want to be in pain anymore. So be patient. Stick with it. I know, and I'm not trying to ignore comments, but I do want to make a couple of points about that since someone had asked. So let me get to some comments, and I apologize if I've missed them. Just ask them again. I went for an 8-mile hike yesterday. Felt fantastic. First hike on keto lifestyle. People were asking me about carbs and should I start adding them back in during hikes. I said, no, you're correct. I will never add carbs back in. They are not required. Carbohydrate is not an essential nutrient. Okay? Okay, they're moving quickly here. I'm having trouble. Hey, I got rid of chronic pain and GERD with this way of life. Okay, Leah, enough said, right? You got rid of chronic pain and GERD just by eating food. Rosalva, my knee pain has gone away since starting keto. I do not have a pain in my body, and everything hurt before. People are, you know, they didn't say it to my face, but people were thinking, and I was thinking, yeah, of course you hurt, your big fat thing. Of course it hurts. But that didn't explain why my elbow hurt, my knuckles and my neck. Knees and ankles, maybe hips. I can see a lot of extra downward pressure on, on gravity. But why would my knuckles hurt? Do artificial sweeteners stall weight loss? This is a question that comes up. I'm drinking my coffee. I drink about 3 cups a day at least with heaping teaspoons of Splenda, which is sucralose. It has not stalled me, obviously. Now, maybe if I never had artificial sweeteners, I would have lost my last 5.8 pounds and get to goal. It's my little bit of, no, it doesn't stall me. Everyone has to find out for themselves what happens, okay? We're all different. Terry says, looking fresh this morning. Approximately how often do you walk each week? I walk each day, and I gotta tell you, you are going to think I am a goof. I get most of my steps inside the house. Most of what I do is in front of a computer or a camera. I'm either writing, making videos, editing those videos, or I have other responsibilities in my life. So I'll just run around the house, literally. Someone did ask about my watch. And so, it's a big chunky one. It's big. My doctor said, good Lord, that watch is as big as you are. It's a Garmin 920 XT over the top smart sports watch. And why did I get this? I had done, when I was heavy, triathlons back in 2009. I followed a nutritionist. Trained for and participated in, I think it was 4 sprint triathlons. Several of my before pictures are at the first triathlon. I'm in a bathing suit, guys. If you go look at it, warning, trigger alert. And I just did it. Then I did, 5 years later, whenever it was, I think it was 5 years later, I started the ketogenic thing. And the weight started coming off. And I felt so energized. It's essentially, what happened was the year I did the triathlons, I was, I was hungry all the time. I enjoyed, the people I met and everything, but I was hungry all the time. And I only lost like 11 pounds going over through all this training and all these triathlons. And it was hard to haul my fat self around those tracks. Anyway, so the next year, January of that year, I was diagnosed with a recurrence of breast cancer. So I determined that, triathlons give you cancer again, because that was my 3rd incidence of cancer. I was ticked off. Anyway, so I kind of fell off the wagon and went back to some, gave it up. Anyway, fast forward, 2014, I start the ketogenic diet. I lose some weight. I had about 25 or 30 pounds. I said, I'm energized. Maybe I should try these triathlons again, because I'm lighter and I feel better. I was still pretty big, but so I researched it, and this is a great sports watch for triathlons. It's way over the top for me. Have I done a triathlon? No. I've gotten on my bicycle maybe 3 times. I've gone swimming maybe 5 times. I've gone jogging around my neighborhood maybe half a dozen times. But I like this watch. You know what it is? This was me acknowledging that things were different and they were not going back. I would never have spent this amount of money on something like this. Didn't think I deserved it, for one thing. And I wouldn't have spent it if I didn't know in my heart that this diet was going to change my life. It has changed my life. So anyway, some of my friends think it's, a fashion killer, that it just destroys. And I'll wear this with a cocktail dress on. I wear this. Okay? I'm proud of it. And I like it. And it lets me know when I get texts. It's a smartwatch. It's others have come out since then. Then I have more stuff. This one was totally waterproof, which was one reason I got it, so I could go swimming. There we go. What is my blood type? Just curious. I've heard blood type O does better than A's. I don't think that has, excuse my skepticism. I don't believe that. I'm O positive. As much of the population. No, I don't think it has anything to do with that. Maybe I'm wrong. How do you manage Raynaud's phenomenon? Did I say that I had Raynaud's phenomenon? Did I share that? Interesting. You don't manage it. I just had for those of you who don't know, Raynaud's phenomenon is usually idiopathic. They don't know what causes it. When your extremities, usually your fingers, sometimes your toes, will just turn white. And I mean cadaver white. And it is cadaver-like because what it is there's no blood in there. It happens like that. It's like someone drains out the blood from your fingers and they're freezing cold. It's usually triggered by being cold. Like when I go to the grocery store and I go by the freezer section, often I'll get it. And I blow on my fingers. I stick my fingers in my armpits. When I get in the car after that, I stick them in the heat vents. Not much to do about it. It can be an issue if it's secondary to another condition. Raynaud's then it's called Raynaud's syndrome, and it can be secondary to things like MS or other conditions, but Raynaud's phenomenon is. Did you get keto rash at all? It says you have to get out of ketosis to get it to go away. Mine is so mild, but so far I wanted to know if I have to get out of ketosis. I just heard a lecture by Dr. Finney about this. He says it's quite rare. It's like maybe 2 in 1,000 people will get it. And I think, if I recall, it self-corrects. Just hang up. It's just maybe your body transitioning. You're changing your body chemistry to a degree. You're changing your body's fuel. So give it a little while to go. Good morning from Pennsylvania. Good morning. Pamela, I too hurt in joints before, inflammation and lots of water retention. All that's gone. Nothing hurts now. That is fantastic. I'm still eating way too much veggies, cruciferous, but way too much. Any tips on how to cut it without feeling bad about it? Get rid of the you must have your greens mindset. Do it. Get rid of that mindset. Okay? This nutrition is the opposite. Okay? It's the bizarro world of nutrition. Don't eat low-fat products. Don't trim the skin from your chicken. Butter, not margarine. No fruit. Eat some vegetables, not lots, some. And I have wine and spirits. Oh, there. Okay, Marlene says, yes, I remember I did share that. Yours hasn't gone away. So you're talking about Raynaud's phenomenon, but you don't mean that you have it all the time every day. That would be very dangerous. That can create nerve damage. You're saying that you have episodes of Raynaud's phenomenon, your fingers, your toes, whatever, go white and you have to warm them back up. It really only happens with me in the cooler months of the year. You just deal with it. Okay, any tips on fueling on a long run? What's long? The Mrs. Gaskins. Kate, mine has not been helped. As a matter of fact, I didn't have Raynaud's until after I was doing keto. I think it just happens for me. I think it can be associated with autoimmune, but most of the time my understanding is they really don't know what's causing it. If it's secondary to an autoimmune like MS or something, that's a different thing. Do I eat berries when I first started? Yeah, berries are on the list. I don't eat too many. What we like to do, we make our own yogurt. And my husband particularly likes this in the summer months. Yogurt, and throw some, we have homegrown berries often, blueberries and strawberries. Throw some of those in the yogurt, mix it up. That's what no added sugar. Pat says, Laura, I'm doing an experiment eating only meat and eggs, been on it a week. Weight loss has accelerated and everything has gone fine so far. Michelle, hi Casey, I too am a breast cancer survivor. Do you believe this diet helps keep cancer from returning? There's growing evidence, some cancers, okay? I'm gonna channel Dr. Westman here. Could be promising, more research needs to be done. I will tell, my belief is that there's really good evidence, particularly with brain tumor, glioblastoma, astrocytoma, multiforme, and GBM, which I'm very sorry to say my sweet brother died of several years ago. Talk about wishing I knew something then that I know now. Really good evidence that GBMs, when starved of glucose, are helped. Don't know about the others, but that's what the research is starting to say. 10 miles plus marathon training. Mrs. Gaskets, I want you to see some videos. I think they might be in my playlist, particularly Dr. Jeff Volek. I'll try to add them up in my playlist. He is an exercise, he co-wrote this book, which I highly recommend, The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Living, and the follow-up companion book, The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Performance. If you are an athlete, particularly an endurance athlete, get that book. Read both of them, get both of them, and I'll put the links below. Get them both. There's really good evidence that endurance athletics, which is what got my husband into this, he's a cyclist, really do well in this because you have your onboard fuel. Even the trimmest of people have tens of thousands of calories of energy because they have body fat, even low percentage body fat people. So there are certain ultra endurance marathoners, like 100-mile plus marathons, which I guess is not technically a marathon, where the winners in several years running have been ketogenic. So yeah, I think it's a really great way to do it. And you know, Chris Froome has won the Tour, which my husband's here. I think he's won the Tour de France 3 times, is ketogenic. What type of yogurt do we eat, and how do you feel about avocados being so high in carbs? And there are 4 more over there. Avocados are great. If you look at page 4, it's half of an avocado. And I do measure avocado. Usually, well, I stop because most of ours come out to be about, my portion is about 1.75 ounces by weight. But I eat so few other carbs, it's okay. They're an excellent source of nutrients. The yogurt, we make our own. I have a video on it, as a matter of fact. In one of my playlists. When I go back and edit this, I'll try to drop that video in. We just make our own. We have yogurt cultures from a company called Cultures for Life or Cultures for Health or something. It's very easy to make yogurt. Hi from London. Hi, Terry. How you doing? Winners and record setters. Don't, maybe you're referring something, Jean, to another comment from above I didn't see. Darylyn, slow loss, more willingness to move, less stiffness. Videos in the community around you make an incredible difference. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes. Try, if the scale is not moving, if you're in ketosis, okay, do check. Use the keto sticks. I know, I'm not going to say it again. The keto sticks are a perfectly legitimate tool for measuring. Usually, there are certain caveats. If you're in ketosis, then you know you've limited your carbohydrate intake sufficiently to burning ketones for fuel rather than glucose. That's all the ketogenic diet means. If you're really not losing, you know, and Dr. Westman defines a stall as 0 pounds and 0 inches lost for 4 weeks. If you're in that situation, first of all, because you're in ketosis, you know you're not overeating carbohydrate, look to dietary fat. Are you overeating dietary fat? Are you adding fat? Trying to get fat in? Are you bulletproof coffee, fat bombs? Because again, this is not about adding fat. It's not about the addition of fat. It's about the subtraction of carbs. If you're not overeating dietary fat, you're just eating your normal fatty meats and sources of protein, eggs, cheese, dairy, if you can tolerate it, meat, fish, etc. Then just look at if you're eating too much food. I mean, if you've not lost any weight, you haven't gained any weight, you have found what it takes to maintain you at that weight. Are you only eat when hungry, which is the hardest part? Can we get an amen? Only eating when hungry is the hardest part and continues to be for me. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Jean. Yeah, not only are they winning, but they're setting records. So the endurance athletes who have become keto adapted are setting records, okay? What vitamins do I recommend? We take a multivitamin and a fish oil tablet Mostly because my husband thinks we should. We get a lot of nutrients. I just got my blood work done. You guys might have seen that short little, amen, amen, amen. It is hard to only eat when hungry. I just got my blood work back. For those of you who didn't see that short little video, I'm about perfect, y'all. Hate to say it. My triglycerides, 55. My HDL, 98. That is incredible. My hemoglobin A1C, 4.8. My glucose was flagged as being low because it was 66 that morning. Liver function, great. I'm trying to think. My potassium, was actually happy to see that my potassium was right, was good. It took me 3 years to get to this point. Before I started this, I looked back as far as I could on medical records online, but our practice didn't have online records at that point. I think my triglycerides were 115 in 2012, and I started this in 2014. Okay, I want to share something. This is going to be, a thing for me. Something happened yesterday. My husband and I went to Costco, and I'm going to do a grocery haul. I don't usually do those, but I'm going to do a video on that. I had just yesterday morning, I have a coaching client I speak with every Sunday morning. Love her. And she is being quite successful, but and maybe some of you guys have experienced this, her brain is having trouble catching up with her body. She's lost weight. She's fitting into clothes that she couldn't wear before. She's buying clothes to be aspirational items. I'll buy this and I hope that I will fit in it. Yeah, I actually suggested she do that, and she took my advice. She did it. She bought an aspirational piece of clothing over the week, and for giggles, she tried it on to see how far she'd have to go, and it fit. She didn't realize, she knew the numbers on the scale said something, but she didn't realize how much smaller she was, okay? And I can really identify with that. And I shared with her some stories about as I got smaller, you spend a couple of decades in a body and you start getting used to bumping into things or having to not want to walk down aisles or, God forbid, airlines, the worst. And not wanting to sit on certain pieces of furniture, lawn chairs, I swear, were designed by some sadist to make fat people feel awful. So you have to get used to your new body. Well, we were in Costco, and my husband, for one thing, was with me, and I never would shop for clothing in front of him. I never wanted him to see what size clothes I was buying. And I only ever shopped at Costco, very rarely anywhere else, because they have the big tables and they have sizes that go up to 24W in jeans. The Gloria Vanderbilt 24Ws. If you have a Costco near you, they probably have those jeans. I want you to stand up and hold them up, and that was where I started. And I took up every square centimeter of those jeans. So anyway, I would never shop in front of him, but I needed some new exercise things, because even my leggings had become baggy, y'all, which is crazy. Things that are usually you squeeze yourself into them, they were literally droopy on me. So I picked up a pair of Puma leggings, little capri length, and I just went to a small. And then we both laughed because I held them up, and I swear they were this big. They looked this big. He said, "Are those kids?" I said, "No, I looked at this. These are ladies." He said, "Well, get them." I said, "No way. I mean, come on. I know I'm puny, but please." He said, "Get them. You can bring them back." Okay. Extra trip. And then he said, "And I like this too." And he threw a jacket over for me, size small. Y'all, this is the jacket that my husband picked out for me. And hold on, bear with me. I set up some staging. I want you to see these size small Puma leggings, which I happen to have on my tuchus right now. Can you see this? I'm wearing size smalls, and it was unbelievable. I didn't even have to work at getting them on. They just fit. Okay, so find some 24W jeans somewhere, hold them up. That's where Casey started. And if you can find some Puma small leggings, that's where Casey is now. If I could do this, anybody hearing my voice right now can do this. Anybody. Okay? I am really proud of that. I got to tell you. You know, even with coaching, my friends say, oh, yes, you get used to it. I'm still not used to my body. I'm still amazed that there's so much space between my belly and the steering wheel. You know, I'm short, so I always had to have the seat of the car pulled up so I could reach the pedals. And then one day, it was about 2 weeks ago, my husband said, was in the car with me, and I was driving. He said, look how much space there is between your stomach and the steering wheel. And I looked down. Not only was there space, I could cross my arms over in front of me. If I can do this, you can do this. Anybody can do this. I don't care if you are sedentary. If you, for some, you know, if you've had your leg in a cast for 6 months. I didn't do this with exercise. I dress like I exercise, but I get my steps in. That's pretty much what I do. Okay. Thank you for all the applause. Applause, applause. You've gone from a size 16 to a 10 on keto. Did you ever think? Yeah, work it, sister. I'm going to work it. Okay, thank you for the encouragement. You have a great example of positive outcomes. Okay, great. Does anyone, I had a couple of other things. Some of you, particularly if you're just starting, really may wonder, is keto legit? Is it a real thing? Is it legitimate? Is it a fad? Is it a trick? No, it's legit. It's not new. It's been around. It's frankly the way humans ate for millennia. But even since the agricultural world started 10,000 years ago, back in the 1860s, William Banting, an undertaker who was corpulent, to say the least, did some research from some Frenchman, and he cut back on his carbs, and he lost weight. Okay? In certain parts of the world, maybe people watching this now, this diet is not called the ketogenic diet, it's called the Banting diet. For him, because he's the one that wrote his book in 1863, I think. Excuse me, I'm getting warm. I'm going to take off my jacket. I think it was very sweet of my husband to insist that I get this jacket. He thought it would go nicely with my eyes. And, you know, this is not new. It's not a fad. It's physiology. You either burn glucose for fuel or you burn ketones for fuel. And carbohydrates are not essential nutrients. The food manufacturers would like you to think they are because they're easy to produce, they're cheap to produce, to process, to transport, and they have long shelf lives. Very, very little in our house has a long shelf life. We're eating fresh whole foods for the most part. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I feel really good. I appreciate when people say, look, but thing is, I feel so good. Skin comes up a lot. Thank you. I think I might have been blessed. I've said this the other day. Maybe my skin, you know, maybe it's just genetics. Maybe I got it from my mother. The balance is I also got her cankles. I said that last time. How many steps do I get in a day? Okay, here's the thing. This little torture thing here. I have this set that my Garmin tells me how many steps to get every day based on the previous however many days. So, you know, if I keep getting my steps tomorrow, the step count will be higher. So consequently, sometimes at night I go, oh, I hit my steps and I want to move, you know, freeze like a statue. Today, it's telling me to get 9,055. If I don't get it, tomorrow's count will be lower. If I get it, tomorrow's count will be higher. I think the highest average I've gotten was back last summer. It was telling me to get about 12,000 a day. And I got there, and then I can't remember what happened. And I missed a few days, and it dropped right back down. My goal, here's another thing. If, some days the scale just doesn't tell you what you want. And I have this giant spreadsheet, and I've put in all kinds of things so that I can find something to celebrate just about every day. Either the trend line, if the next 2 weeks is like the last 2 weeks, it'd be lower, or a rolling 2-week average of average weight, or rolling Mondays, or whatever it might be. Find something. And at some point, I just couldn't find anything to celebrate on the scale. So I decided to put something in my spreadsheet that I really did have control over. Moving. A young lady actually was trying to start this, and she's a friend of family. And I said, I tell you what, I'll commit to you. You try this diet. Not that I was trying to proselytize. She was asking me about how to do it. I said, I don't know if I could do that. And I said, tell you what, you try it for a month, and I tell you what I'll commit to do. I will move 23 out of 30 days on a rolling period. If you can do this for a month, I will commit to be active at some way, getting my steps in, swimming, biking, or running, or another activity, hiking, something that is out of the norm. 23 out of 30 days, realizing that there are some days that, I just am not going to be able to do those things for scheduling or whatever, or weather. So I made a spreadsheet for that. And that's what I do. And I, only a couple of times have I fallen below that. Sometimes I've been 30 out of 30 days. So I have this spreadsheet that tracks rolling periods. So every day I get my steps in, I put it in, the miles. Like yesterday, I think it was 4.5 miles. I was fairly active yesterday. And do that. So try to find something that you can control, that you can be victorious about, because you can always find something. That might be, I'm going to read a book this week. It doesn't have to have anything to do with weight or size or diet. Do something for yourself that you can control. You're in charge. I'm addicted. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kel. Anybody can do it, but I think people need to learn to read labels to figure out carb count per serving. Then you know for sure how many carbs you're eating each day, 24 hours. Answers, that's an excellent point. Actually, someone did ask me to talk about reading labels. And let me see if, again, there are not many things in our house that have labels because it's mostly vegetables and meat. Hold, please. I'm going to grab something out of the fridge, okay? Okay, sorry about that. Now, we generally have made our own mayonnaise. We don't have our chickens anymore. This year was looking to be rather hectic with some travel and possible surgery, which now I don't think I'm going to have the revision surgery. Driving me nuts too. But we are doing some traveling. So we rehomed the chickens to our son and daughter-in-law who live in the next couple of towns over. Anyway, so when we had so many eggs, we were making our own mayonnaise, and we'll still do it. But yesterday we decided to try something else. We decided to try this, again, from Costco, and it's made with avocado oil. You know, I'm not a purist, and this was really expensive compared to like the Duke's, which is a great mayonnaise. But most commercial mayonnaises are made with soybean oil. The soybean, corn oil, vegetable oils are high in omega-6s. They're not great for you. They're inflammatory. Omega-6s are inflammatory, and we need some of those in our diet. Omega-3s are anti-inflammatory, and we need those. You generally want those balanced. Our diet has gotten way out of whack with all the vegetable oils and stuff with that. Okay, so I'm going to show you this. So anyway, avocado oil, long story. Okay, so I don't have my glasses on, but I'm going to show you this label. Now, what we've been told to do over the years is, and I'm sorry for the glare, hope you can see this, is to pay attention to this part. Calories and fat. I never even look at the fat. I don't even look at the calories. I look at, where is it? I look at the carbs. Okay, so, but here's the deal. And I don't look at fiber. I don't do net carbs. You do what you want to do. I don't do net carbs. One thing, I think manufacturers can get a little generous with things, and I don't know that there's great proof that just because fiber may or may not be absorbed, it does not mean that it's not impacting you. I'm going to ask Westman about that. He's mentioned that before. But here's the other thing you have to look at. The serving size, okay? So even if something says no carbs, keep in mind that that doesn't mean you can eat as much as you want. A serving size is a tablespoon. And can I tell you, does that mean heaping tablespoon, scant tablespoon, level tablespoon? I actually do sometimes weigh by weight. This is 14 grams is a serving, okay? So not a half a cup. Because ultimately, even though I don't look at the calories, if I'm at the point where I want to make sure I'm continuing to lose weight, ultimately your energy intake does matter. You know, if I'm eating this jar, even though there are no carbs, I'm going to have many, 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 many thousands of calories, which I don't need. So look at the serving size and pay attention to that. I don't pay attention to fiber. I don't pay attention to cholesterol. I don't pay attention to saturated fat, grams of fat. Doesn't matter. I mean, I know it's mayonnaise. It's essentially fat. So that is one way to read. Now, here's another thing. Don't yell at me, y'all, because I have this product in my house. I usually do my own bone broth, but when I need some bouillon, I need some bouillon. This is better than bouillon. I didn't realize when I bought it was low sodium. I don't need low sodium. Again, here is the total carbs. 2 grams of carbohydrate per serving. That's the other thing you look at. Per 1 teaspoon. Now I've measured this out, and that's not much. That's 6 grams by weight. Okay? Pay attention. So if you're using, tablespoon of this, that's 3 times this. That's going to be 6 grams of carbs. So just read your labels. Most food that we eat is meat, poultry, lamb, liver, fish, whatever, and vegetables in moderation, mostly. My husband starts every day with 2 or 3 eggs, 2 slices of thick bacon, an ounce of queso fresco, which is white cheese, and his coffee. We don't need labels for that. We know what's in there. It's mostly fat and protein. Okay. You're down 100, Pamela? You're down 100 pounds? And I'm sorry, I know you guys are talking to each other. And I'm sorry, I'm way behind. I'm way behind. So I will, non-scale victory yesterday, got out of the low beach chair without kneeling on all fours to get up. Yes. Yes. I just realized the other day, I remembered when I used to get out of bed, I had to literally roll out of bed. I had to roll to my side. I had to put my arm like this, press down to get myself up. I now pop out of bed. That's fantastic. Wow, Pamela, 100 pounds, that's amazing. Okay, yeah, Jean, you're right. If manufacturers, if it's below a gram of carbohydrate per serving, they can say 0 or less than a gram. So yeah, if you don't want to eat certain ingredients, which is one reason we decided to go with the avocado mayonnaise rather than the Hellmann's or Duke's or whatever, because we don't want soybean oil. Yeah, so look at your ingredients. Okay, best way to keep track of carbs, I just use MyFitnessPal and measure by weight when possible. So it's really the only thing I ever tracked. I never paid attention. I never paid attention to the other, I don't even want to use the M word because people get all verklempt about macros. I never paid attention. If you look at Dr. Westman's page 4, he doesn't say a thing about calories or macros. Keeping in mind, that's for people who are starting the program and have a lot to lose. So I just use MyFitnessPal, use my scale. I'm going to show you the scale. I really like this scale, the OXO scale, because something you can pull out this thing if you have a big bowl or something, you can pull it out, and it is illuminated. You probably can't see it. Oh, turn on the power will be good. It's illuminated, so I like that in my old eyes. I'll put a link to that as well. So I measure, and it measures in grams and ounces, and it goes up to 11 pounds. So if you really need something. And that's how I track MyFitnessPal. You can follow MyFitnessPal. I'm Casey Durango on MyFitnessPal. Just ask. You can see I try to log things. Okay, 23 pounds in 3 weeks. You've only lost 4. Doesn't matter. You've lost 4 pounds. You know, there are programs, there are commercials on television that only guarantee you, you know, lose 10 pounds, and they want you to pay for that privilege. Just, you know, change your food up. Keep your carbs below 20, total carbs, not net. Eat only from the odd food list. Eat only when hungry. It is simple, which is not to say easy, but it is simple. I get a lot of requests for a copy of page 4. I tell you what, I probably get 40 requests a day. Here's where I am on that. It is posted in the files section of Keto After 40 and Beyond, the Facebook page, so you can see it. Patrons to my Patreon page, I will mail them a PDF of it or email them if they wish for it. And I don't even remember, I think it's the $2 patron thing. I just can't get it to people at the volume that it's being requested of me. And keep in mind, it's just my version of page 4. It's what I scraped from the White Coat video from several years ago. Okay, you're using an app called Keto Diet, using macros for moderate weight loss and measure diligence. 1 month, no weight loss. Patients getting very thin. Carolyn, I would not worry about the macros. Don't worry about protein and fat. People try to get their fat in. Thank you, Joy, for the super chat. Keep your carbs low. I wouldn't worry about the rest of the macros. It's not a gimmick. It's just not important. That was not, the macros are a result of what happens if you eat a well-formulated ketogenic diet. If you keep your carbs below 20, get into ketosis, eat only from the allowed food list, and eat only when hungry, that's what ends up happening, is the macros kind of fall out into this range. But they're not a minimum goal for either protein or fat. Dr. Finney, when asked how much protein does he eat a day, he says, I have no idea. I eat to satiety. I eat from the, you know, he doesn't call it the allowed food list. He eats a well-formulated ketogenic diet. He eats to satiety. If he's not hungry, he doesn't eat. We watch you from Norway. Thank you very much, Joy. That's real. That's wonderful. Thank you, Joy. And we say we. Is there more than one person? That would thrill the pants off of me. So you're at 15 net carbs. Carolyn, again, I would highly suggest forget about the net carbs. Depending on, you know, some products will say we have 20 grams. Someone actually just sent me a thing. They bought some seasoned vegetable product, and it had 12 grams of carbohydrate and 15 grams of fiber, so it was technically 0 grams of carb. That doesn't even make sense to me. So I would do with total carbs. If you're happy with what you're doing, do it. But if you're not losing any weight, are you in ketosis, Carolyn? Do you know whether you're in ketosis? If you are, then maybe the net carbs works for you. If not, maybe it doesn't work. And Kate is asking, are you doing things like nuts on keto bread? Yeah, we don't do generally trying to fake items to make them keto friendly. Not as a rule, okay? We just found, for one thing, it's very difficult to make it truly keto friendly. You know, almonds are not on page 4. Almond flour is not on page 4. Oat flakes, or whatever they're called, are not on page 4. So we just, other than my husband's almond cookies, which he can tolerate, we just don't do that very much. You've been stalled for 6 weeks and no change, but you're sticking to it. Do stick to it. Are your clothes fitting differently? Ask yourself that. And Carolyn, you've used the urine sticks, okay? Are they showing you at a level of ketosis? Not adding extra fat helps. A lot of people think they have to add fat. The fat will take care of itself as long as you're eating fatty sources of protein. If you can add the fat and it's working for you, muzzle tough. You're in the middle. Okay, well then I would say perhaps if you're in ketosis and you're not losing weight, ask yourself if you're overeating dietary fat or are you simply eating too much food? I eat much less food than I did at the beginning. I ate bastante de comida. I ate a lot of food at the beginning because it was wonderful. Simply got to the point where I couldn't eat it, and then I didn't need the extra food, and I don't need that much food now. I'm small. I'm going to be 59 in a month. I'm postmenopausal, and I'm not doing a lot of intense exercise. So I don't need that many calories. You need to find what your level is. No keto sticks in Dubai. You're in Dubai? Wow. Clothes fitting better. Your Latina jeans have always been an issue. My husband is, full on Latino, but he is a dude, so that can make a difference. You used to eat road salt on the way to school as a snack? Okay, don't know what road salt is. That's interesting. Yeah, I've upped my sodium intake. And I just came from the doctor. My blood pressure was perfect, 120/74, I think. Frying chicken in lard tastes nummy. We love our lard. We reserve bacon fat from when we cook bacon. When we get low on it, we have purchased lard. Flake. Now, let me tell you something. You can get a big old tub of lard that is packaged and manufactured by Archer Daniels Midland. And it is full of hydrogenated lard, okay? That's where they pump in oxygen. And it makes it more stable, but it also is not really what you want. So you want, I think it's called flake lard. And it's not hydrogenated. It's pricier than the cheap stuff, but it's more valuable. That's what I like to say. When people say food is expensive, oh, it's valuable is what it is. Catherine, I assume you meant cheat days and not chest days. You've noticed on chest days you'll drop 1 to 2 kilos. Any reasoning behind this? Couldn't tell you. I do not intend on incorporating cheat days. I don't see any reason to flip my system back to burning glucose. That's what got me inflamed and fat and depressed. But everyone's different. Hi, girls. Shout out to my girls down at O2 Fitness in historic Wilmington. You made Carol Sickert said she made a live broadcast. Oh, not that you made one yourself, that you were able to get here. I was going to say, oh, I'll go see your live broadcast. Epic brand lard is more expensive, but amazing stuff. That is actually what we just bought, Epic brand. Our son, younger son, started working in a butcher shop. So we're going to see if we can't get some rendered lard from there. Road salt, like what you throw on the steps and don't slip. Really? I mean, that really? Woo! I guess salt is salt. You learn something new every day. Okay, guys, we're going on just about an hour here. Does anybody have anything to say? Any questions, struggles? Let's end it on a good note, though. Any more successes? Trudy asks, is there a website that talks about keto reducing inflammation? It's not a website, but if you go to the Keto After 40 and Beyond Facebook page, it's all over the place. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence. Okay, I know I'm bad, but I promise no more. I'm still relatively new and I'm in trial and error. No, that's not bad. It's not a matter of being bad. You do what works for you. We are all different, okay? We're all different. That's the deal. Dr. Finney will tell you there's a portion of the population that eat whatever they want, and their numbers are stellar, and they don't have weight issues. That's the way they are. It's not a matter of doing it wrong or being bad. This is not a matter of cheating or anything. This is a matter of gaining control of your health and your happiness by listening to yourself instead of listening to anybody else, including me. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Don't let anybody tell you what to do, including me. And Lord help us, do not let an app tell you what to eat, okay? MyFitnessPal tells me every day I'm going to die very soon because, it doesn't tell me that, because I'm not eating enough calories as far as it's concerned. And it's telling me I'm eating too much saturated fat. Don't let an app, an algorithm, don't let a bunch of engineers, computer engineers, tell you what to eat or what you should be eating. Don't, Lord have mercy, do not let a doctor, so-called online doctor who's trying to sell you supplements, potions, and powders tell you that you need any of that crap. It's food. FYI, without calling names, I will say that Dr. Stephen Finney, during a lecture, said there is no such medical diagnosis as adrenal fatigue, and it does not show up in the medical literature. Just saying. Don't give up, Carolyn. Just after dinner, resisting that little something while you watch your husband eat ice cream. Yes, and sometimes husbands will get on board, but after they're trailing. Mine trailed by about 6 months. Okay, the Mrs. Gaskins, down 1.8 since Friday. That's great. How about vodka with diet tonic and a twist of lime? I love my vodka or gin and tonics with diet tonic. I have some in the fridge. What do you have instead of coffee with butter that makes you feel like you are starving? What do you have instead of coffee with butter when that makes you feel like you're starving? You don't have to put, I'm not sure I understand the question. If eating the coffee with butter makes you feel like you're starving, don't eat it, but I don't put butter in my coffee. You know, ounce for ounce, it has more calories and more fat than cream. And I don't put an ounce of cream in my coffee. And coconut oil is way over the top. And MCT oil, forget about it. Do I recall my LDL bad cholesterol? Mine was up on keto, and I'm concerned about that. Okay, there's not an LDL. If you're getting a standard lipid profile, lipid panel, they'll give you an overall cholesterol number, maybe a triglyceride, something called a VLDL. I got what's called an NMR, nuclear magnetic resonance test for my lipids. It gave me my LDL particle size and LDL types by counts by type. That's what I wanted to see. NLDL doesn't tell you anything. So my triglycerides 55, HDL 98, great. My LDL, big fluffy ones, which are the ones you want, you know, that was what I had. The tiny sticky ones that are the ones that get caught in your arteries and cause plaque and are the naughty LDLs. Ideally, you want equal to or fewer than 527 particles per unit. Fewer than 527 of the nasty little LDLs. You know what I had? You want fewer than 527. I had fewer than 90. So ask for an NMR lipid. Your doctor might even say, you don't need that. Say, I would like that, please. If the doctor won't do it, go get a lab test online. Pay for it. It's cheaper. It's cheaper than medication. And you know, when I hear people say, my doctor is going to put me on a statin, your doctor's not the boss of you. Do your research. Okay. Was the NMR expensive? I think that only one lab does this test. Well, there's probably different labs. We actually LabCorp, which is a huge lab, I think is headquartered here. I got it back in a day and I don't know. And frankly, I don't care how much it's going to cost. If it costs me an extra $45 to pay for it, it is totally worth it. If it costs, you know, because I don't need to go back to the doctor. My blood pressure's on, my glucose is good. My lipid panel is great. Ask for the NMR. If your doctor says, I don't know what you're talking about, because I've heard that as well. Someone said, the doctor said, I don't think we do that here. Okay, that's a problem. Also doing this way for dementia prevention, mother, grandmother, aunts, there is really, yeah. So Carolyn, if the scale doesn't move, and I tell you this, I said this from the first 25 pounds. Keep in mind, I was still really heavy then. I told my husband almost every morning, I don't care if I don't lose another ounce. I feel so much better. My brain came back. I mean, with a vengeance. I always like to say, I used to be really smart, and then I got foggy, and now I'm smart again. Inflammation, mental clarity, energy level, frame of mind. The weight is a happy byproduct of this. So if you're not losing weight as fast as you want, change your goal. All right. All right, guys, looks like we're wrapping up. I don't see any other questions or comments coming in. I am going to be adding a live event in the evening, and I'm going to try to make it scheduled. Calendar's getting full, but I'm going to try to maybe make it on Tuesday or Wednesday evenings, maybe around 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight. Does that sound like something anyone would be interested in? Oh my God, Darylyn, thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much. You do not know how much that means and how much this is allowing me to do more and more. I've got some really, I hope, interesting things coming up, and I hope that you will find value in them, and I so much appreciate it. So does anyone have an idea, a suggestion for a time or a day? Evening, day, just throw them out, or message me, you know, send me a message. I'll try to compile it. And I'm going to do another Facebook Live as well, adding an extra one of that. And I do the Facebook on Saturday mornings as well. And then I've got some more straight videos coming up. Trying to get creative here. Send me topics, okay? I'm going to try to do more single topic videos, or basically single topics, so I don't ramble on so long. So thanks, guys. Message me. You can send me messages through my blog. You can message me through Facebook. I'm all over the place. Go Keto with Casey or Casey Durango. You can find me in those places. 4 p.m. A 4 p.m. post. 4 p.m. on what day? Okay, I'll wait here for some topics and for some dates and times preference, and I'll try to do those. Y'all are great. Y'all make me feel really good. Thank you for allowing me to do my self-indulgent fashion show with my size smalls. Couldn't believe it. Size small. Come on. And they fit. And I'm going to suggest that you guys dig out some clothes you haven't been able to wear in a while. Or buy yourself a piece of clothing you can't fit in yet. And hang it on your closet door on the outside of it. And every day see it. Say, I'm going to fit in that. I will fit in that. Might take me a month, 3 months, 6 months. I'm going to fit in that. It can be done. And it's amazing when it happens. Okay? Thank you guys very much. Do svidania.